Why am I anxious? It's a question, isn't it? One that so many of us ask ourselves, usually in those really quiet moments. So, let's get into it. Let's take a closer look at what's really going on here.
It doesn't always shout. Sometimes anxiety isn't this big, dramatic, overwhelming wave that crashes over you. Nah, a lot of the time, it's quieter. It's way more subtle. It's just a feeling that kind of settles in.
Sound familiar? It's like this low, constant hum of alertness. You get this feeling that something is always left undone, or that you just need to be ready for something. It's that background static, that feeling you've forgotten something super important, or that you have to stay on guard even when everything looks totally fine. It's a tension that can become so normal, we almost forget it's even there.
Okay, so that's the feeling. But then, we humans, we do something else, don't we? On top of that feeling, we pile on a whole layer of judgment. We start telling ourselves a story about what this feeling actually means about us. And that story often sounds a lot like this. Why can't I just relax? I mean, that question just echoes in your head, right? And it's just dripping with frustration. It feels like such a personal failure. Like it's this super simple instruction that your own mind is just refusing to follow. And then you look around. You see other people who seem so calm and put together, and that question just gets louder and louder. And that is the core of this really painful story we tell. We take that internal hum of alertness and we translate it into this harsh verdict about who we are. We decide, yep, something must be broken, something must be fundamentally wrong with me. So let's break this down, because this is where things get really interesting. On one hand, you have the pure sensation, that tension, that alertness, that feeling of unease. That's just the raw data. But then, on the other hand, you have the story we build around that data. The story that says, I'm failing, or I'm not strong enough, or everyone else is coping just fine. It's almost always a story of inadequacy. But what if that story is just plain wrong? All right, let's try looking at this from a completely different angle. Let's step away from that story of personal failure for a second and look at biology instead. Because what if this feeling isn't a bug in your system? What if it's actually a feature? And a really, really ancient one at that. See, your brain has this thing called a threat detection system. We all have it. It's this incredibly well-designed, ancient alarm system with basically one job: keep you safe. That's it. It is constantly scanning the horizon, both literally and metaphorically, for any hint of danger or uncertainty. It's not looking for you to be peaceful. It's looking for problems to solve to keep you alive. And this is where the problem comes in. This system evolved for a world with, saber-toothed tigers and very real physical threats. But our modern world, well, it gives the system so much more to monitor. Now it's scanning an endless stream of emails, scary news headlines, social media posts. It's basically ancient software trying to run in a brand new, totally overwhelming operating system. Okay, so this brings us to the most important part of this whole thing, a crucial reframe, a completely new way of looking at all this. This is how we can start to change our relationship with that feeling. Right now, our default setting is to experience anxiety as a personal failure. We feel that tension, that unease, and our immediate thought is, I'm screwing up, I'm not handling this. It feels so personal, like there's a flaw in who we are. But what if it's not a failure at all? What if it's a protective function? What if it's just a sign that a part of your brain is working exactly the way it's supposed to, trying its absolute best to protect you? So that feeling, it's not a sign that you're weak, not at all. It's actually a sign your brain is trying to do its job. It's trying to predict what could go wrong, protect you from it, or control the situation to keep you safe. I mean, its intentions are good, right? Even if its methods feel, well, completely overwhelming sometimes. So if we can start seeing it as a signal, then we can learn to listen to it differently. It's not a command that we have to obey. It's really just information. And this is huge. Anxiety is not a command to panic. It is simply information. Think about that. That internal alarm going off doesn't mean you have to drop everything and freak out. It's just your brain's little threat detector popping up and saying, hey, just so you know, I've spotted some uncertainty over here. Just wanted to flag it for you. That's it. It's just a flag. And that distinction is everything. It doesn't mean something bad is happening right now. It just means your brain thinks something bad might happen. And what it really wants is certainty. Your brain hates uncertainty, so it sounds the alarm to try and get you to find a solid answer. It's a request for certainty, not a confirmation of actual danger.
So, where does all this leave us? Well, this new perspective can hopefully lead us away from this constant internal battle and more towards a place of, well, quiet understanding.
Because when you really understand the signal, you can stop fighting the feeling. Look, the goal here was never to get rid of anxiety forever. The goal is to understand what it's trying to tell you. When you can see that hum of alertness not as an enemy, but as this kind of well-meaning but over-the-top protector, the fight can just stop. You can notice the signal, thank it for the info, and not feel compelled to obey it like a command to panic.
And that's really the heart of it all. You're not broken. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. That feeling you have isn't proof that you're flawed. It's just the sound of a very old, very dedicated part of your brain doing its absolute best to look out for you in a wild, modern world it was never really built for. So remember that. You're not broken. Your brain is just trying to keep you safe.